Before we begin today's show, today we want to give a big shout out to
Buzz TV. Buzz TV brings you their own spin on Android devices like the Nvidia Shield and the Amazon FireSticks, taking software to the next level with their own app helping you stream anything, anywhere. Buzz TV listens to you, the customers, and consistently brings you the latest and greatest when it comes to hardware, software, customer service, and experience right out of the box.
And to find their products, guys, make sure you guys do go to buzztvglobal.com.
Don't forget to click the link in the description below to get yourself the latest Android device right from Buzz TV. With all that being said, let's start the show.
Hi guys, this is Tanya from FireTVSticks, and thank you for joining me today in this podcast from Beyond the Streams. I hope that you enjoy it, and when you're ready, let's get started.
So everybody who is listening out there within all the different platforms, or if you are on good old YouTube, as you can see, we do have Tanya from FireTVSticks. So it is a great honor to have you here. We've been following you on YouTube also, so it's cool to see you grow.
A quick question though, did you know you wanted to get into YouTube, and how did you decide what you wanted to do on YouTube? Or was it something that you fell into by accident? Because I don't know if you've heard my story, but I accidentally became a YouTuber out of nowhere. I didn't plan on doing it. I dropped 2 videos. Both of them hit 300,000 views. Wow. And I was like, I guess I got to keep doing this.
What did you do to, what was your videos about?
So at the time, it's kind of a silly story, but I was never really huge on watching TV shows and movies. I wasn't really a big streamer, but my ex-wife at the time had applications on her phone, and she used to use the infamous Showbox. Right. And it had gone down. It wasn't working for her. And through troubleshooting the application, I found that they were actually, they were IP blocking or GPS blocking, or whatever you want to call it, anybody that was outside of the US and the UK. And at that time, all of the YouTubers that were releasing content were from the US and the UK. Right. So I dropped 2 videos showing how to get around the IP blocks, and everybody who wasn't in the US and the UK started watching them. And I didn't realize that it was such a hot topic. And I just, people just started coming to my channel. I started gaining 5,000 or 6,000 subscribers a month. And it was just like, okay, I just got to keep doing this. And now, because of all the changes in the algorithm and how they choose to monetize your videos, it's really come to a halt for me. But I've really come into enjoying the community and spending time with the community. And I do probably more live shows than anything else, just hanging out with the people. And I do a lot more behind the scenes, but that's kind of how I say I accidentally fell into YouTube. I didn't mean to do it at all.
Yeah.
So what's your story? How did you determine that, I'm going to be on YouTube and this is what I'm going to do? Because I guarantee that's usually not the story.
Well, I think that it's kind of similar to your story in a way, because what you did was you identified a gap in the market, and then you came in and you filled that spot, and you proved that it was needed. It was a gap, and people were searching for that information. Yeah. And for me, I think it was the gap in the market for me was a female YouTube presenter, because all the videos that I'd watched on YouTube, Canada, America, England, they were all male YouTube presenters doing these kind of tutorials. So the same thing as you, really. You identified a gap in the market, tried it out, and just like you, for some reason, it just hit off. So just carried on.
Mm-hmm. I think, we've had females or women that have had YouTube channels, and they talk about streaming, but they don't show their faces, and they don't typically talk about, a lot of the stuff that you talk about in your channel. We've had people like Machenga, right? Rohas, they talk more about Cody stuff, and unfortunately, we can't really talk about that stuff on YouTube anymore. And I think that, you know, identifying that is really smart. I mean, as hard as I can try, I could never fill the gap that you did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a bit hard for you to be a woman.
Exactly. So not only was it filling a gap, but I think that you did a very, very good job, because you are bringing some really good content to the table, educating the people, doing your research, and really not just filling a gap saying that, you know, there is no female YouTubers, but you're bringing so much more to the table than just filling that niche. It just, I think it's fantastic. So how did you figure out that you wanted to just focus on Fire Sticks, and why Fire Sticks?
Because that was the only device that I've had experience using. I've never had an Android box.
Yeah.
I've never had, my only Android device has only ever been my phone, and I didn't really do anything with that. I've always been computers, and hard drives. So the very first streaming tool or streaming hardware that I got was the Fire Stick.
Was that the first gen?
Second gen.
Okay.
Because what I used to do before I got my Fire Stick was stream through my NAS unit. So
Right.
it was all done through there, and I didn't need anything. But
what year do you think you got your second gen Fire Stick?
What year was that? I think probably, like, what we're talking, 20. I don't actually know. Is it like 2016?
2016, 2017, I believe that's when they came out.
Yeah.
Somewhere around then. And how did you figure out what to do with it? Like, did you just buy it from somebody, or did you buy it from the store?
Yeah, just bought it from Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And then whilst I was still in Spain, and I was using the NZB Usenet server to get my stuff on, I think that kind of just naturally fizzled out when can you say Cody?
Yeah, it's fine. Go for it.
When Cody started to get quite big,
Mm-hmm.
and then it became a whole lot easier, because I had like 16 terabytes worth of stuff because I downloaded all my shows, or
Yeah.
all my shows, programs, music, movies.
I love hearing your story, because I followed a lot of the same paths myself. I did. I mean, even right now, I don't like, I showed a video on my channel, but I built 100 terabyte media center. That's what I'm using right now. Cool. So I'm pretty familiar with.
Yeah. So I think when we moved back, I had to sell all of that equipment, so I couldn't use that anymore. So I had to find another streaming alternative, and that's when the Fire Stick came into my life, I guess. I'd already known about Kodi, because I had slowly started to replace, instead of using the NZB, using that instead, because I was thinking, I've got all of these terabytes worth of stuff on my hard drives, and I watch it once and then I don't watch it again. Why am I keeping all of this stuff?
Yeah.
It's all available online now. You can just stream it, and if you want to watch it again in a couple of years' time, it'll still be there. So I sold all of that stuff and then just switched over to using the Fire Stick. So I originally started using the Fire Stick and Kodi.
So how did you find out about Kodi, though? Like, did somebody show you, or you found YouTube videos, or how did you start setting up your own, your actual builds on your devices, or like, how did you get to that point?
It was somebody just mentioned it in passing, that they discovered this new way of, they had it on their phone and they were showing it to me, and I was like, I don't really understand. But then I went away and looked at it, and I thought, yeah, that was really interesting. So I started looking on Google, and the first place that I came across was SEO Michael website. I don't know if you've heard of his website, but he's got a lot of really good Kodi resource material, and TruePoint as well.
Yeah. So just to timestamp it, we're talking about 2016 at this point, probably, right? Do you remember some of the first builds or add-ons that you were using?
I think the first build was No Limits. I think that was the first build that I used
I've
on
used that
the
one.
Fire Stick. Yeah. But I think it worked initially quite well on the Fire Stick, but then when you go doing other things on it, especially because it was second gen, you start getting quite sluggish on it. So then I just started looking at separate add-ons instead, and that's when I discovered Exodus. So instead of having a build, all I would use was the Exodus add-on, and I had that for a number of years till it went down.
Where did you get your info to stay updated?
From mostly it was the websites, so SEO Michael and TroyPoint. I love TroyPoint's website. It's so easy for KODI stuff, Cody stuff, Cody.
Yeah. I know it's hard to break out of that, right? We try to have just a little bit more laid back of a conversation here. We don't really show much content, and we're not really monetized on here, so we're like, it is what it is. We just want to, have an actual real conversation.
Yeah. I know you guys pronounce it Cody, but around my area where I was living, people were calling it Coddy. So when I started doing my YouTube videos, I did start off with Cody, and I was always calling it Cody this, Cody that, Cody, and people were like, what are you talking about? if I hadn't shown them in the background what I was doing, they wouldn't have a clue what I was talking about.
Right. It's kind of funny. It's like I started watching some of the TV Zion videos from some of the YouTube creators in the UK, and they always pronounce it Zion. And I thought, I didn't know if it was a difference in the dialect or how they teach the pronunciation of the letters together or whatever. But it was just, sometimes that's just how things go.
Yeah, it's just I say TV Zion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it is just dependent on different regional dialects. So over here, where you pronounce it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, which were you watching any YouTubers at all back then when you were getting all your coding information?
Yes. I think he's Electric MD now, but back then he was Electrical MD. So I was watching some of his videos for coding information, and also Dr. Venture as well. So those two are my main sources of coding information.
So I guess not a lot of people know this because I haven't really told anybody, but back then I would send Electrical MD his apps for his filing store. So I would actually forward him things that were just coming to the market or things that I just finished working on. And I'd be like, here, put this in your store, put this in the store. Especially like CKTV. If you ever seen CKTV being put in his filing store, he was getting that for me. So I did a lot of work behind the scenes, like New Tech Evolution. I know, so a lot of times he would go around and he would create like social media groups, and then he would just put me as the admin, and then he would disappear because he's so busy working on everything else. So I'd be working in the social media groups. I'd be talking to a lot of the YouTubers in the background, and I'd be helping them wherever I could. And then eventually I was like, why am I helping everybody else?
Do it yourself.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about, Electrical MD, Dr. Venture. What point did you kind of take? Because honestly, you do a fantastic job keeping up to date, and it looks like you were doing it for yourself because you love to stream your content. You enjoy watching your content. At what point did you take that passion to do your research and say, I'm going to take this to the next level, or take that step into dropping videos? Did you have, family or friends asking you for information, and that's how it started?
Well, yeah, when I started to use my Fire Stick and set up things like Cody on it.
However you want to say it, it's fine.
Just don't worry.
It's everything. It's I say it three ways, so it all gets mixed up in my brain. And
Say it all three ways. We're good. Don't worry.
Comes out as soup. Where was I?
Soup?
Yeah, and then so I would go and set up Cody for friends and family, but I think that the Cody platform and the way it worked was kind of a little bit complicated for some people, especially when you'd get the URL go down. Then you'd have to go into the settings and update it, and that was a kind of quite hard for some people to do. It was a bit too technical for them. So that's when I started to look at other streams, the other avenues that were coming around with the APKs, much simpler, and then researching those and then helping people install those rather than as a progression from Kodi, because they didn't really enjoy using it. Although I've always really enjoyed using it, I still use it as my main source today of streaming.
That's my main source also, Kodi. So I know Next Level was trying to find out, see who you knew. That's why I was asking the question, which YouTubers you knew. Back way back when, where the Joe Nobodies were, the Hushums, the Dimmy, and like all those guys way back before Electrical MD and those guys. I had a YouTube channel called Kodi Tutorials, and I used to I never showed my face. It was just, here's Kodi, and here is an add-on, here's the settings, here is it was just, I never showed my face, it was just my voice.
Do you know what? If I close my eyes and just listen to your voice, I might heard it.
Okay, let's try this real quick. Let's try this. I'm gonna give you my intro. I'm gonna give you my intro. Close your eyes. Next Level, you keep your eyes open. Okay, here we go. And welcome back to Kodi Tutorials. Today I'm going to bring you a brand new add-on called Exodus. Now, when you go into Exodus, you got movies and TV shows, you got all kinds of different stuff of settings. I'm going to show you guys how to install that towards the end of the video, but let's start from the beginning and show you exactly what you guys get.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it rings a bell.
I used to be very, because the thing is I remember, so I talked to Demitrology once I started to show my face. And I actually, there's another YouTuber, Superdell. I was on his show and they were kind of like laughing and joking around. And I said, screw it, I'll just, whatever, I'll turn on the camera. And ever since then, I've always had the camera on. And Demi was like, dude, he's like, just listening to your voice, how you did it before, like where it was just very straightforward tutorial, step by step, how you did certain things, to now we have a personality, now we have a face behind that voice, and now it's different. It just feels different. You know. But yeah, I used to do oh man, I know a lot of people back then. I'm pretty sure you've heard of a thing called Track.
Yes.
So a lot of people back then didn't talk about Track. There was also an add-on called Metallic. It was like a scraper that inside Kodi, and it would scrape all the add-ons. And so if you were to watch a movie, it would tell you which add-ons it existed. I used to do some videos that a lot of people didn't do way back then, and I brought a lot of stuff within the Kodi community. Here's Track. This is how you could save your stuff. And I would get into, now I'm gonna date myself big time here. Genesis, when we started talking about Genesis, Phoenix, Salts, Ice Films, there Robin, before Tomb Raider was the Pyramid, and then it became Dog's Bollocks, and then whatever. Yeah, they people started going crazy. But some of these add-ons way back then, a lot of other YouTubers would do videos on, here's the movies, here's the TV shows, this is how you install it, we're done, next video. I wouldn't do that. I would say, you know, this is all your categories, and if you click on this, this is what you get. Now, if you go into the settings, and if you notice there's certain links when it's loading, and you'll see sometimes it'll say like Rapid Gator is just sitting there and it's not installed, it's not showing any links, it just sits there for a minute. It's just like, well, if you don't even really use it, I would go into the settings, go into the providers, start unchecking stuff, start changing the timers on how long it scrapes, or I would just leave everything on. I'll get into reel to brid. I would show how you could prioritize certain links over others, and if you get so many, then it would just, here's the best ones. You don't need to wait for the rest of them. So I used to do a lot of the stuff, especially way back then. My channel, I would say, I gained my 100,000 subscribers solely on Cody, just Cody videos. I didn't touch. We had an interview just recently where a buddy of mine, we had this whole a service, a live streaming service, and we just called it the little guys. And I'm just like, we're just little guys. We're just, we're not the big dogs out there. We're just, just us. And he called me the devil because I know he called me the devil because I was like, you don't need file linked. And Next Level is the filing king over here. And I'm just like, you don't need filing. Screw that, dude. You don't need these APKs. You don't need. Freaking Cody works just fine, dude. You have all your different add-ons. You're there. And then I even made a video, not bashing on him, but there's so many people talking about Droid Admin, filing, like all these different ways of getting all these APKs. And I'm like, let me just build a website, and I'm gonna have direct links from the website. You don't have to download an app to get a code to download an app. Go to the website and download the app. You're done. That's it. And him and me were actually on panels every now and then, and we were always respectful. We never like, oh, you're dumb. Like, we never did nothing like that.
There's so many different ways to do what you got to do in this community. It doesn't have to be one way. Even though, I've used Cody a couple times, but I was never really a user of Cody. I've always found other ways to do it, from having my own media centers, or using a lot of the APKs, because there have been APKs that have been around for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Cartoon HD, Megabox, like those ones have been around for a very long time. So even though I didn't use Cody, I still respected it. It's still a great platform, 100%. And when I talk to people, you just got to use whatever works. And sometimes when we get into these conversations, they're like, oh, this APK is only pulling 50 sources for this movie, and this other one's pulling 100. How many of those sources are you going to watch at the same time? If it works for you, it works for you. If you like it, you like it. It comes down to personal preference, comes out to the layout, the GUIs.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I always try to stay open-minded and be respectful of people's personal preferences and their choice. It's their choice how they consume their content. So
yeah. Also, I think that if me and you, for example, were both to search for the same thing on Cinema HD, for example, I might get 20 links and you might get 100. Mm-hmm. So different. I do believe that different apps work differently for different people, 100%. Not because of the application. The application is the same for everybody, obviously, because it's the same code on all devices, but it all depends on where you are, your internet, what VPN you're using, because as soon as you put it on somebody's devices, then you hit all these different variables. So you've got
sometimes it depends on even the device itself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The more powerful of the device is, the more scrapers and more, like, it's going to resolve quicker, because all of these applications have timeouts built into them. And after a certain period, they'll stop scraping. So if you have like a Gen 1 Fire Stick versus a NVIDIA Shield, obviously it's going to stop pulling sources on that Gen 1 Fire Stick well before the Shield finishes.
Yeah. So I always say you've got to find what works good for you and what you like.
Right.
Not all going to like the same thing. We're not all going to get the same results from the same thing. That's why you need so many different options, so that people can choose what they want. It's not just about telling people, get this from here. It's not about that. It's about educating the cord cutting community. What is out there, and handing them then that opportunity and that to do that.
So when you decided to bring your knowledge to YouTube, like, walk me through a little bit of that. Like, did you decide right away that you're gonna show yourself on YouTube because you said you wanted to be that voice to fill that kind of gap, right? Because you didn't see a lot of, you know, women doing what you're doing, right? So did you decide right away, I'm going to go on camera and this is how I'm going to do it? Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, like we were talking about earlier, it was about identifying that gap in the market, I suppose. And there wasn't any female presenters going on camera and doing these kind of tutorials. And because I had all of that experience with training in the past, either on a one-to-one basis or writing training and procedural notes, I wouldn't say that I felt confident doing it, because I absolutely did not. But I wasn't scared to give it a try either. So I thought, this is the gap. This is how I can fill that gap. Are you prepared to do it? Yes or no? No? Okay, walk away. Forget about it. Yes, just film it. Go ahead, do it, see what happens.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, it kind of speaks a little bit about, I'm going to say it, like a hustler mentality, that you got to do what you got to do to get by. And are you willing to do it? Right. And I think that a lot of us, I think it's a very common thing that we see in at least in the streaming community, a lot of people that we talk to, you got to have that hustler mentality. You got to go out and you got to get it. You know, you get, like, if you're not going to, then you're going to figure something else out. But I mean, the journey through cord cutting or streaming is never really an easy journey. Like, no matter, even if you're just an end user or a cord cutter yourself, you got to keep up to date, right? Or you're only going to be a temporary cutter. I've met so many people that when I tried to tell them about Fire Sticks, because that's mainly what I use too, they're like, no, I'm just going to stick to Netflix. And I'm like, so they tell me their stories they go through, and I'm like, I'm sorry that you got burned by somebody who didn't know what they were doing, but it's so much better than that. Like, just give me a chance to show you how good it is.
Yeah, it is. It is. Although I will admit, I still do use Netflix.
That's fine.
That's one thing that I do use, because sometimes I will be looking for. I don't have a lot of time at the moment, so I just had half an hour in the evening where I sit down and watch something. So I don't want to get into anything new or anything that I've got to really concentrate on. So I just look for old reruns of programs, British programs that I've watched in the past, and you've got so much available on Netflix. And I'm one of those people that love subtitles. I don't know if you've seen my glasses, but I love just knowing everything that's going on. So with the subtitles, I don't feel like I miss anything. I know some people don't like them, but I do. And with Netflix, it's just so easy to just turn it on. And with the streaming applications, subtitles do work, but then you do get the occasions where you've got, oh God, just out, I've got to mess around with trying to get it all back in line. And sometimes I just don't want that hassle. So I just have to turn Netflix on, just have that instant thing.
So today I'm going to show you guys how to install some subtitles in Kodi.
I did subtitles. If I was looking for a program with subtitles, it always worked really well with Kodi. You've got open subtitles and Subscene that you can install with Kodi, and it always works really well most of the time.
And that's the thing, though, most of the time. Right? And you shouldn't feel ashamed to admit that you use Netflix. We did an interview with Lee from Supreme Builds, and he said that, he's a cable shaver because he's never canceled his cable. He's kept it. I mean, however you do it, as long as you're not paying $400 a month and you're diligent, because we've interviewed people that have been paying $400 a month because they wanted every single sports package. Right? Whatever works for you. I know Rohas here is very particular in quality, right? So he does have things like Disney Plus. He does have things like Netflix. So, we can't make decisions. We don't know people's preferences. So we can't judge people on how they do their things. All we can do is educate, right? A lot of times people will come to us and say, well, I don't want to cut the cord because such and such. If we have the answer, then we'll tell them. If we don't, then it is what it is, right? But people are going to have their preferences and they're going to stream how they want to stream. And I mean, if they're happy, why change them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I agree.
Now, what do you currently use for? Do you have your own build? Have you put your own stuff together? Or are you still using somebody else's builds?
I'm not using a build at the moment. I was using Cody with the crew add-on, and I've also got my Real Debrid account linked to that, and that's all I really use it for, just movies and TV. So I don't use it for TV channels or anything else. So with just an add-on installed, it's just simpler and easier to use for me. So builds, they're really nice and they can be really easy to use and navigate around. But I think that builds are better suited. I don't know if I'm going to get for saying this, but I think they probably work better on Android devices rather than the Fire Sticks. They can be a bit more slower, although that I know there are ones out there that are specifically built to be a bit more lighter, so they do work well with the Fire Stick. But I just don't need all that extra stuff because my time is limited and I don't watch a whole load of movies and shows. Just having Kodi and an add-on and Real Debrid works perfectly for me, so I don't need.
Yeah, that's probably. It's funny there's a thing that people say. I get mad when people say this because they should rephrase it. And I think you said it perfectly. When people say the best build is the build that you build your own, I'm always like, wait a minute. Some people don't know how to do something simple like clear cache, purge packages. Like they don't know how to go in there. There's wizards that will automatically do it for you. With my builds, I've had, so I don't know if you ever heard of the simple build.
No, not that one.
So the simple build, that's one that I had. I had a fire build. I had a reloaded build. I had several builds, and I always had I don't know if you want to say a full version and then a lighter version. And the lighter version was always for anything that was 8 gigs or less. And so when people installed it, they would see it and they would pop up. It'd be like 20 megabytes download zipped. And then once it download fully, I think the whole thing was like maybe like 80, 90 megabytes. It'll be under 100. And I'm just like, this is exactly what will work just fine on your Fire Stick. You don't have a lot of random stuff in there. But when you said, I just have Kodi, I just have the add-on, and I have my Real Debrid, and that's it. I don't have anything else. When people say the best build is building your own build, I think that's what you just said that's what having your own is. Installing Kodi, just vanilla, nothing else, no skins, no builds, no nothing, just Kodi. Find an add-on that you like yours, and yeah, put in Real Debrid, put in track. As soon as you open it up, boom, that you could even set it up to where as soon as Kodi opens, there's a setting. Oh, I don't know if you know how to do this one, but there's a setting within your system settings, and there's a startup, and you could actually map it to that add-on specifically. So when you open up Kodi, the add-on opens up instantly.
No, I didn't know that.
We'll talk about it later.
We'll talk about that.
But yeah, there's so many cool little tricks that you can do, and for me, I'm the same way. Time is precious. I don't have a lot of time. I think nxtlvl and I sometimes drive each other crazy because I'm like, I want to talk to you. He's like, I'm busy, and then he'll be like, I want to talk to you. Now I'm busy, and so.
But
Yeah,
we have an unspoken agreement. If somebody says that they only have time like 7 o'clock tonight to do an interview with us, we're both free.
we're free.
But we don't have time for each other.
No.
Okay.
We catch each other on the same wavelength, so I think we know each other's like schedule for the most part.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like normally I'll start like blowing him up. I'm like, dude, where are you? Or I'll just call him.
I've gotten a lot better. Okay, so over the past few years, I would sleep maybe once or twice for the week, and I would be working all night, all day, answering questions, doing email. Well, not so much emails, but I was on every single platform, and it got to the point where I wouldn't go to bed until like 5 or 6 in the morning, and then I would be sleeping. So he'd be waking up and be like, "Are you awake yet? Are you awake yet? Are you awake yet?" And then it got to a point where he would be like, "Are you awake?" And I would respond right away. He'd be like, "I haven't slept yet." And
no.
I've slowly been changing my life around probably within the last 2 months. So now I'm actually sleeping at night and awake before sometimes he gets up. So
Well, you're 3 hours ahead, so you better be up before me.
hey, you get up pretty early. You're on that military time, man. You're up at like 7 o'clock in the morning drinking NOS and energy drinks. I'm like, you need to stop.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's that. I'm so on the go. It's literally so it's funny, Tanya. We have this joke, and I think we started joking around this around May or June of this year. Next was like, if anybody gets in a relationship with me, we have to check with Rojas first. Because we were like so busy working together and doing stuff, and literally I would check on him. I would be like, dude, I'm over here like 7:30 a.m. and I'm just like, wait, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm like, okay, 10:30 a.m. You should be up. You should have had breakfast. It's almost lunch. It's almost brunch. So, dude, are you awake? No answer. Are you awake? No answer. I'm like, okay, wait until 11 a.m. his time. Are you awake? And then he'll say exactly that. Dude, I haven't slept yet. And then, yeah, and then I'll get mad at him. I'm like, dude, go take a nap. Go eat something. Go to bed. Go do this. Just go.
It's bad once I start looking into applications. Sometimes I dig too far into things because I'll actually pull it up and decompile them and see how they work. And because I mean, I don't tell a whole lot of people this, but I've started to recently. Is I used to have my own terrarium clone that I would run for a little while. And like I would go in there and I would change all the API keys. So I had my own track API, my own real to Brit APIs in there. And like I wanted to learn how to code. So I would just go into different applications, I'd rip them apart, try to do different things with them. And eventually I was like, I can't do this anymore. I spent all my time decompiling and recompiling and editing APKs to make them work the way I want. I mean, the last one that I finally did, and I called that one like probably the last application that I'm gonna mod, was DNS Changer Lily, because everybody was talking about it and they were all manually entering in AdGuard's DNS. So I went in and I coded it to have it right there. So you just click on it, and I set it to automatically start every time the application reboots. And that was the last one. And I was like, after that, I don't need to figure out how to do ad-free mods on APKs anymore. You can just run an ad blocker and you're good, because trying to keep up with all these updates was too much. Every day apps are coming out. You got it, like, because community is always asking, can we get an ad-free version? Can we get an ad-free version? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, in my file linked, I don't really support ad-free versions because of like what you're saying, when apps get updated all the time, that means that you've constantly got to go and get the modded version. And also modded versions can be a little bit more unsafe to use. Especially recently, I have heard quite a few things about modded versions having Trojans and viruses in them. So I do stay away from modded versions, and I only have official in my file link for those reasons.
So one thing I'll add to what you just said is they can be a little bit more buggy, but a lot of times those results when it comes to viruses and Trojans are typically false positives. Because when you run them through like VirusTotal has something like 70 different virus scanners that they use, and some of them are not so reputable in regards to their scanners. So those ones, you'll notice some of the newer ones, they tend to flag false positives. And as you start to scan more and more apps, you'll see those not so reputable file scanners or virus scanners inside of VirusTotal tend to flag the same stuff all the time. So you kind of have to. I know it's difficult for someone that's cutting the cord or an end user to really understand all of that. You know what I mean? Because they kind of expect us to do it, and some of them are taking more due diligence on their own and scanning their own stuff now. So now they're starting to get more confused because they don't know all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
so
no,
I get it. 100%.
Yeah, that is exactly the issue. You hit the nail on the head right there when that users are starting to become more aware. So they're starting to become a bit more proactive where they're using VirusTotal to scan it themselves, but they don't know that an application can show up as a false positive and it is actually safe to use. So you'll get somebody saying, I've just downloaded a file from your file link and it's got a virus in it. Now I don't trust you.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't put them in there, because it is very hard to explain to somebody, yes, it has got this in it, but it's safe to use, but it's just got that stigma around it. And then I've got this channel and I can't have people saying that they don't trust me.
100%.
So you need to stay away from it, don't you?
It's like when I was recently, probably within the last 2 weeks or so, Streaming Tech Now put out a video, and he was talking about how Cinema HD had a virus in it or something, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, all my subscribers are coming to me now because they're watching his video. So it's like, okay, I have to answer them. And I've had, that as you become more popular in the community, you face that a lot more. Because I've had other videos other YouTubers will make. I had a YouTuber that put out a video saying that Real Debrid was the devil. And then they came to me and they're like, what's your views on this? So then I literally would have to do my own research, because I don't just say they don't know what they're talking about. I give them facts. You have to go through. It's not about me versus another YouTuber. It's not about a YouTuber versus me. We all, at the end of the day, have to do our own research and present all the information. And whatever the person, the end user, the cable cutter, however they choose to digest that, that's up to them. But we can only give them our perspective on everything. So, yeah, it's just interesting because it's like content will be created all on its own. It just comes to you. You're like, what about this? And you're like, okay. But I mean, even with the original APKs, they still flag false positives.
Yeah.
So no matter what you do, I guess the end of the day is we just have to keep them educated, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Now I want to go back to your YouTube channel. So it's been a year, and I have it pulled up right here, and you're sitting at about 85,000 subscribers right now.
That sounds about right. Yeah. I checked it just a couple of hours before, this morning probably.
So you're getting really close to that milestone. I remember when I was when I was working at the hospital, I probably had, I don't know, maybe like 1,000 subscribers, which were like all friends and family.
You've got that many friends and family.
Well, I used to, okay, so I taught music for 10 years. And I was teaching drum lines, marching bands, drum corps, and with marching bands, there are always like 100 plus, and I was usually the drum director.
I was in a marching band when I was younger.
Really? What'd you play?
Trumpet.
Trumpet. That's my first instrument. Trumpet was my first instrument, and then I learned tuba, flugelhorn, the French horn, trombone. I started going through all the brass instruments. And then it was funny because, okay, so you were a marching band. Did you ever, as you're playing trumpet, I know trumpet is it's for there's a joke we used to say that trumpet players are the most boastful players, because I would say I was because anytime there was a solo or anything, it would always go to the trumpets.
Right. I never did a solo ever. I wasn't that good.
Oh, well, typically when you're in marching band, typically the soloists come from the trumpet section. Sometimes you might get a flute or a clarinet, and they'll put them on a microphone, but trumpets are the only ones that are just like, go to the front and freaking blow everybody away. Like you're good. But did you ever, when you were a marching band, did you ever sometimes stop, turn around and just stare at the drum line, like see what they're doing?
No, I didn't. No. I found the whole experience quite nerve-wracking because we had to wear these big hats that are quite tall and square, and I had one that was a bit too big for me one day, and we were in a competition, and it fell down over my eyes, and because I was blowing my trumpet, I couldn't push it back up, so I ended up walking off in the opposite direction to everybody else, like the whole
man.
time I was over there, and I was like, oh God. And I did it again after that. That was enough.
So here in the States, I don't know if you're familiar with drum corps. Drum corps is like, so you have your college football,
Right.
then you got the NFL. Well, the NFL is where all the just the crazy athletes are at. Drum corps is where you have your crazy musicians, like they're just insanely good. So with drum corps, typically a drum corps would have about 120 people
Wow.
minimum, and they could go up to 200 easy. And there, I'll send you a video so that way you could see one of the corps that I was with, called the Blue Devils from Concord, California. They're the only drum corps every single decade that has a championship. They always win. They're just that good. And these guys, well, for my venture, when I was teaching music, I think the smallest group of marching band I taught maybe had like 80 students. So, and I taught for 10 years. California is known for just being competitive at everything. Like if you're good in California, and then if the United States has some kind of national competition, good luck. It's usually they'll have like eliminations or tournaments or whatever. Like if it doesn't matter if it's sports or the arts, the music arts, like it really doesn't matter what it is. There's always, if they're like, okay, we're gonna have the top 12 for the finals, there's gonna be somebody from California there no matter what. It's ridiculous. So I've and also with that being said, in the music, I had my own signature sticks through a company called Vic Verth. I had a sponsorship through another company called Zildjian. So I knew a lot of these companies everywhere. So for me to say, oh yeah, I had 1,000 subscribers, I just from the people that I know, I should have had a hell of a lot more.
Wow.
But that's how I started. It was literally like just selling devices and helping people out. That's how I started my whole YouTube venture. And then when I quit my job, actually, I should rephrase that. When they were just letting people go, they're just doing cuts. That was in this month, September. So from the rest of the month, it was more me freaking out. What the hell am I going to do? I didn't have a YouTube channel to stand on. So I'm just like, you know what? Wait a minute. They let me go. I don't have to worry. I don't have to like stress about getting a job right now. I'm going to go collect unemployment. Like I'm going to find my next job. I'm going to find it and be happy with it. And, we'll see how that goes. So from September to December, I was like, let me just do this YouTube thing and whatever, just see what I can do. So I went from 1,000 to like 5,000 subscribers. I was like, okay, let me now do some more research, put some more thought behind this. Like actually, like, let me just give it my all for a solid year. I think my unemployment was going to run out. I think it was going to be in September. I think I had like a full year. So I'm like, let me just see how this thing goes. So 1 year later, I'm sitting now, this is me now with my channel, year and a half. But from that 1 year when I said, screw this, I'm going to focus. We were at a restaurant on New Year's Eve, and it was like, okay, we're there, ordered dinner, get some drinks, just hanging out. And I have this app on my phone where it dings every time there's a subscriber, because my thing was just going like crazy, and I had it on mute. I'm like, I don't want to hear you today, just want to relax. New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah. So I open it up. I'm just like, I knew what my number was. I was at 99. Well, that morning, I think I was at 97, 98. And so my goal was to hit 100 before the end of the year. So I saw it in the morning. I'm just like, I'm not gonna get this amount of subscribers. There's no way. I put a video the day before, and it was ramping up really good. I think it was like an Exodus replacement video. Like Exodus was having issues, so it was like,
Well, very on topic.
yeah, it was a popular topic back then too. I opened up the phone 5 minutes before midnight, and I see the count: 99,998.
Wow.
And I'm sitting there like, I'm like, dude, who do I know that could subscribe to me right now? I'm over here thinking about it. Like, what do I do? I'm like, there's no way I'm going to actually do this right now. And it was literally, I saw it roll over to 100,000, and then it was 101, 100,001, and then 2. And it was literally like, it was maybe like a few seconds right before midnight when I hit it.
Wow.
So I'm over here like, bartender,
bring over the Dom Perignon.
100,000 shots, please.
where's the shots? So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, you're so close. You're so close. You're gonna get it for sure. I think you're doing an amazing job with your channel. You're helping a lot of people. Are you setting yourself a goal to say, when it happens, or are you like, hey, if I could do it by the end, because we're already at the end of September, if I could do it before 2020 is over, like, do you have any expectations? Or
No, I don't, because I think how I approach anything is how I approach anything in my life. I'm very much at the moment, what's happening right now, don't really plan for the future. So I just take it on a day-by-day basis, and really whatever happens. I'm not really a planner, or I'm just kind of like a spur of the moment kind of person, and just go with the flow. So no, it would be nice, but I don't want to set myself any targets, because once you do that to yourself, I do feel that if you don't hit that, then you're always setting yourself up for a potential come down or a downfall. So that's why I never set myself any targets or any goals, because I don't ever want to feel like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I remember my my grandma. She passed away earlier this year.
Sorry.
Thank you. One of the things that we talked about that one year, she was at my grandma's. My grandma was at my mom's, and I did this interview with her. I pulled out my camera, my tripod, I put some mics up, and it was something that I told my grandma. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, there's stories that you tell me over and over and over, and I'm never gonna forget them. But the sad thing about that is, my nieces, and then their kids, the next generations, like, they're born here having no idea how they got here. And if it wasn't for her, she has 6 kids. She brought all 6 kids here to the United States. She brought her mom. She brought her sisters, her brother. She still has a lot of family in El Salvador that just didn't want to come. But this lady sacrificed so much. I'm like, you're my hero. You're the one I look up to. And I'm like, I would love to interview you, so whenever the time comes, my family could watch this and laugh and enjoy for years to come. So I sat down with her. I think we were outside in my mom's backyard for like 3 hours, just talking and talking and talking. And when we were done, turned off the cameras. And I wish, it's one of those things that Next Level and I say, like, man, we should have left the camera on. This was some good stuff afterwards. And my grandma just sits there, and she's like, so I was sitting at about, this was in June, with me trying to haul my whole YouTube thing. And I was sitting at about I want to say like 60,000, like somewhere around there. I was doing like about 10,000 a month. And she was like, she's like, do you even get paid to do this? And I'm just like, well, actually, grandma, they put commercials, advertisements, and companies send you stuff. And I think it's wonderful. It's a new way of making money than how you're used to and how everybody before me did it. So she was just there asking questions about it, like, you know, how do you do this and how do you do that and how are you going to edit all this? And it was just very, at that time my grandma was 92. She passed away at 95. um so for her mind, you know, 90-year-old, to start asking about it, like, well, what do you do with this video? I'm like, well, I got to go and edit and clip it, and then I got to render it. Well, what does rendering mean? Well, rendering is when it grabs everything. And so I'm like, I'm explaining everything to her, and she's understanding fully. And at the end of that conversation, she's just like, and this is why I set my goal. She was like, you know, you have always been the type of person that has always been their own boss, has always been their own go-getter. You are the one in this family that has always done that. She's like, don't rush to find another job. If this is what you like, just do it. And I'm just like, grandma, I'm like, you know, I'm like, one of the things they have here is, you know, one of the big things people say, like, oh, reaching out 100,000 people. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to do that. And she's like, why not? She's like, she's like, you hit that number before the year's over, and then we'll talk. So I'm over here, grandma, don't put that over my head. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. I was like, okay. I'm like, you know what, grandma, I'll try. All I can do is try. I'll do my videos and I'll try as hard as I can and do it. And she's just like, you know, you're honest and you've always been truthful about stuff. So she's like, you're obviously doing something right, or people wouldn't follow. And I'm just like, or I'm just getting really lucky with how I'm posting stuff. I don't know. So yeah, because of that conversation with her, then I really was like, you know what? I need to focus on this. And I think I focused on it. I hit my 100,000, and then I ended up getting another job. And I was doing both things at the same time. And then finally I was just like, and this happened a year ago, where I was just like, you know, grandma was right. I should just focus on me. And so I left my previous job. I was the director of operations, and I'm just like, no, I'm gonna do this. Like I gotta listen to my gut. I gotta listen to my grandma. I gotta push my stuff and just continue to do it. And yeah, so, and I think you've told me too, this is it for you, right? This is what you're doing.
Yeah. 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 This is what I do full time now.
As a one-man team, right?
However long it lasts, well, however long I do this for.
Yeah.
As long as a one-man team, right? Like, I mean, it keeps you busy. Everything from the editing to the SEO to the thumbnails, tags, sharing it out, creating the content, planning it. There's so much more that really goes into what we do as content creators than just hitting record.
Definitely, yeah, absolutely. It can take a day or more, to create just one video, especially if you're spending lots of time before that researching stuff. Then it can take even longer. So you've got the research, the planning, the filming, the editing, the rendering, the uploading, the waiting for YouTube to review.
And then sometimes even after you go through all that, your audio could be off, or your lighting could be off, and then you got to do it all over again.
Yeah, I've recorded like a whole 20-minute video before, and they recorded no audio at all. So I had to do it all over again.
The last video that I recorded, I switched between scenes in my OBS, and I forgot to add my microphone.
Oh no.
So then after I finished, I was like, oh, this sounds great. Where did my audio go? Oh, crap.
Yeah, it can be.
What I did, so I'm using OBS, and I have the hotkeys, you know, to switch scenes, start, end recording. So I'm over here, I hit my button and I start talking, I start doing my video, and I'm using the TV, so I'm over here and I'm going back and forth. I'm done. Hit end. So then I go to my folders. I'm like, where's the video? And then
Oh.
I'm looking at it, and then you could see your history. And I'm just like, wait a minute. I'm like, I know I hit the key. So then I pulled up my keystroke history, and I hit the next key, the key right next to it. And I'm like, I didn't even record anything.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What do you think, Tanya, some of the things that have really helped you in the past year? Because you know what, getting to where you have gotten to on YouTube is definitely something to be proud of. And you definitely had to put in a lot of work together because it's not easy. So, what do you think some of the things are that have kind of helped you get to where you are right now?
Oh God, I don't really know, to be honest. You guys probably know there's no magic formula to this. You don't know if one video could get this amount of views and the next video could get this amount of views. It's so it's nothing's consistent. Because there's no consistency, you can't narrow it down to what is going to work. I don't know. When I started doing Cody videos, which I think was on point at the time because people were looking for that information. So not only was I filling that gap of not having a female YouTuber on YouTube doing this content, but it was also Cody stuff. And then I think, so from that start, I'm not sure, but I think it got to around about 30,000 from doing those Cody videos. So I'd already built up a solid base from that. But then I had to stop doing that kind of content and switch it over. And I think that what I used to do was try and get content out every day, but also try to make a lot of content, push it out there, but not just a lot of content, try to make it decent as well at the same time. And I think for a couple of months that really worked, just like hitting it every day, getting one out. I think that helped and that worked. And also when I got to the 30,000 market, I think it was, somebody mentioned that you should do live shows. So I thought, okay, I'll give that a try, see if that helps. So I started doing that. I think I started doing that I was doing that at the beginning, like every day. So as well as having a video, I would do a live chat in the evening.
Wow.
So that was helping too. And also, I think what really helps is interacting. So anybody who comments into your videos, reply to everybody. That's what I was doing a lot of as well in the beginning, getting the videos out, interacting with people, helping people, answering their questions when they weren't sure, and giving them specific guidance or showing them the right place to go if I couldn't answer that question. So I think it was just all about building that community that helped solidify it, and it's just continued to grow in that way.
100%. It's one thing to record a video and to put it out on a topic or whatever it is, but when the community or people see you thinking on the fly and answering questions as they're kind of thrown at you, they realize that you're actually very knowledgeable. That's when you can really shine. You know what I mean? People can really see how intelligent, how smart you are, how resourceful. Maybe even if you're networked in the community, and at the end of the day, how honest you are, because there are some channels out there that they either grow on honesty or drama, and that's how it goes. And unfortunately, that's how it goes, right?
Yeah.
So when you're honest about things, like when you say, I may not know everything, but I can show you where to go or where to find the information. I think people really they like that, they trust that, then they see that the personable side of the content creator or the YouTuber or the person they're watching. So that's definitely the way to go. Doing live streams is never easy. It's a crazy transition when you first start to do live streams. I remember I've gone back to both the first times I started doing live streams and the first times that Rojas and I did live streams together. And then I watched the ones that we do now, and they're so different. You really find yourself when you start to do live streams. In the beginning, it's awkward, it's quirky, you're kind of all over the place. Like dead air is like a death sentence. But now it's fine. You can go at your own pace. You can do your own thing. You're comfortable in your own shoes. It's so different after you've done it for a while, and doing it up to daily, like you were saying. You gain so many more experiences because so many things are thrown at you on a daily basis that you're able to find yourself so quickly on YouTube, on this platform. And you know what? That's definitely gonna help you get to the next level, get to that 100K and beyond. And I'm pretty excited to see what happens. There's so many good things that are going on in this community. There's more content creators that are coming out all the time. There's so many different perspectives, and I think that there's so many different people that are represented by content creators in this platform that it's an amazing community to be a part of.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were doing your Cody stuff, did you have a different name for your YouTube channel?
No, it's always been FireTVSticks from the beginning.
Yeah. Nice. Now, I guess for your channel, are you going to continue doing a lot of like tips and tricks for your Fire TV? Like, how are you going to continue with your channel? I guess, are you going to add more different things, or are you just going to keep doing the same?
At the moment, my plans are to just keep doing the same, because what you realize is more and more people join YouTube every day looking for this kind of stuff. So you never have, you can never make assumptions about what people know. Even though an app came out 3 years ago, somebody who's watching you today could only have just found this called Cutting Community today, so they don't know about it, and they're not necessarily going to go back and watch your old videos. So I have had to take a couple of my older videos down, which because I was showing too much content in them, so I've had to go back and redo them. So I think at the moment my plan is just to keep going, because there's some new apps that have come out that I want to do. There's some older apps that I want to redo. There's also some new tips and tricks and VPN stuff, and I've got some products that have been sent to me to review as well. So I've got all that, and I think that is going to take me. That's got me covered for the next year, I reckon.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, I don't know if you heard, their Amazon announced last week that there's going to be some new devices coming out pretty soon.
Oh no, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
That's interesting news.
nxtlvl and I have him and me have a lot of conversations like, hey, when is the new this? When's the new that? And we're just like, wait a minute. And this was like way back in May and June. It was like, this is the year. If you look at Amazon's history, when they drop a Fire Cube, when they drop the Fire Sticks, like when they started dropping certain devices, we're like, this is the year that we should see a brand new device, like something like it's going to be the next gen, third gen, whatever it is. We're not sure if it's going to be just a Fire Stick or with a cube, or maybe bringing the Fire TV box back. But they announced, I'm pretty sure that the stick was going to be a new version, and there was going to be something else that was going to come with it. And they listed a few things. So we're over here trying to, and they're announcing it this Thursday, I believe, too.
Okay, I have to keep an eye out for that and see what they say. I wonder what you think it's going to be.
But Amazon is a company, though, that has done the best job at keeping whatever they're releasing completely quiet. So we don't even know for sure exactly what they're going to be talking about. But I mean, they've just done a whole refresh on their actual TV lines. So like the Toshibas, their Insignias just got a refresh. So the next logical step would be to refresh some of their devices. Obviously, I'm not going to expect an 8K Fire Stick, but I'd like to see something with just a bump up in RAM or a bump up in, hard drive space, something, like you don't have to call it, an 8K device, maybe even like a Fire Stick Plus or 4K Plus or something. Just give me something, because that 4K Fire Stick is still great. It just needs a little bit more, because every day they add a little bit more bloatware to it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
Like,
you're right.
I would love personally on the next Fire Stick, give me the 2 gigs of RAM. Like, this 1.5 nonsense is like, just give me the 2. And you know what? I like the 8 gigs is not bad on the RAM, on the hard drive. They are adding a little bit more bloatware.
Mhm.
If I don't know how this would work with some other stuff, but why not? Like, okay, 1.5 RAM. It's like, okay, give me the 2. And if you're at 8 gigs right now, give me 10.
Yeah, it would
Just
definitely help.
just a little bit more. And then of course, update the processor, update your chip, update all the stuff to the latest. And this could be, it won't be as, you won't get as much like the Fire Cube, but it will be very close to it.
Yeah, because the 4K stick still runs really well. It's
Yeah.
still quite it's still quite up to date with what it can handle and what it can process. But like you said, it's that bloatware that they keep putting on. It just that's what brings it all down, really, with this space, and that's what frustrates a lot of people with the Fire Stick.
Yeah.
So just that, add a little bit of extra space, a little bit faster.
Mm-hmm. Now, with all that being said, we covered a lot of stuff today. We
Good job.
covered a lot of stuff. Good job. But we really, really, truly appreciate you, Tanya, for coming here. One thing that we always ask the guest is if there's anything that you would like to say, anything that you want to say to the subscribers, to the viewers, anybody listening or watching, anything that you want to tell them, or maybe even how you end your show typically. Any last words? Go ahead, take it.
I just normally say thank you very much for watching. I obviously appreciate it very much. There isn't really a lot to say. Just follow the community. Keep getting these hints and tips that will help you with your streaming and your cord cutting needs. No, not everything is perfect. Don't believe that everything is perfect, but if you just put in just that little bit of effort that's required, and if you're prepared to do that, then you will be a happy cord cutter.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. What is the likelihood that we can see another conversation with you over here on Beyond the Streams?
Anytime.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds good. There's so many different topics that we cover. We do a lot of interviews where we, introduce people. We give them a really behind the scenes of who their favorite content creators are. But there's so much more. We've done a lot of, we call them what the hells, but we talk about like random stuff in the community, or we'll talk about tech events that are happening, and we just go back and forth with our own perspectives. So I think it'll be really interesting to bring you on a specific topic and just have a conversation just as people with the same interests. So I think that's really awesome. We had a really, really good conversation today. Talked about a lot of different things. We got to know each other, and that's really cool. I'll definitely be looking forward to some more videos from you. I'll try to catch a live stream when I can. And one thing that we always say is just keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to get there. The community loves what you're doing already, because I mean, we hear about it from our subscribers. We see it in the community. You know what I mean? So just keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome work.
Thank you very much, guys. I do look to you as well, especially over the recent weeks with the news with TV Zion and stuff. I watched your video where you talked about some of the things that was going on in the background. So I do watch you guys as well to keep up with latest stuff. So yeah, it was just a nice community. It's a good platform.
For sure. Now, with all that being said, anybody who is out there watching, listening, throwing smoke signals at each other, I don't know what you're doing out there, but whatever you're doing, make sure you check the description on whatever platform we are on. We will be posting her YouTube channel. Check it out. Make sure you guys do subscribe, leave her a comment, and just go through her videos. She's got so much information. And even if you don't have a Fire Stick, she goes through all the different apps, all the different stuff, and what you can do on a Fire Stick, you pretty much do on any Android device.
Mhm.
So don't be too close-minded where it's just like, oh, it's a Fire Stick and I got the shield. Trust me, guys, you're gonna find a lot of great information on our channel. So make sure you guys do check her out and you guys do subscribe. With all that being said, the couple things that we say here is you guys take care and take care of each other.
Stay humble and be patient. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Take care, guys.
Peace out.